Hey guys, welcome to Lingua Marina. Let's talk about memorizing words in English, and let's talk about 5 ways you can do that. I know this problem when you're like struggling to learn so many words. I remember when I was preparing for my GRE, first I thought I would be taking GRE for my master's admissions, and I started preparing, and there was this book, 1000 words you need to know for your GRE test. And I opened it, and GRE test is this completely crazy test that Americans take to get into a master's program, and it has all the words that you never use. I was like, I have 2 months to prepare, and I have 1000 words that I've never seen before. Like, how do I learn them? Luckily, I had to take GMAT instead of a GRE, and GMAT is a lot easier in terms of vocabulary. But I started learning those words, and I started researching different methods that I can use to learn new words. And I also struggled because I was learning 2 languages at the same time. I was learning English and German, and having to learn words in English, having to learn words in German, and not mixing them up was a challenge. So there are so many ways and so many methods I've tried to learn words, and I just wanted to share them with you in this video. So if you have the situation where you either have to learn a lot of new words, or you realize that when you speak English or when you write in English, you suddenly run out of vocabulary and you know everything in your language, but in English, you're stuck. So if you have this situation, please continue watching this video and watch it up to the very end, because we're going to talk about top 5 ways to memorize new words in English. First of all, I want you to remember about the so-called self-reference effect. It means that we remember everything better when it's related to us. So whenever you encounter a new word, try to see how it relates to you, how you can incorporate that in your life. This is very important. So this is why when you learn new words, when you do exercises, you would see a task to come up with a sentence using this word. Always make it relatable to you. The second thing is that a lot of people may tell, I don't know, maybe you've heard this advice, but if you're watching a new movie or you're reading a book, write everything down, write all the new words down, etc. So 2 tips here. Tip number 1, write everything down with a pencil. The studies show that you just memorize everything better this way. Second tip, stop doing it. Like, this is the worst advice I've ever got. Like, writing down everything I don't understand in a book, even now. And I've been speaking English since, well, I've been learning English since I was 4. And I've been using English every single day for the past 6 years. And anyway, when I'm reading a book, I still encounter so many new words. I never ever write them all down. I only write words down that relate to me. If I see a word and I realize that I've heard it before, and I realize that people actually used it when they talk to me and I still don't know its meaning, I'm gonna write it down. I actually have a note in my iPhone. I don't do this a lot of times because I mostly read from my iPhone or I listen to audiobooks. But I would write words down in a note called New Vocabulary, and I would get back to it all the time, and I would just check the words that I've remembered. So no need to write everything down. Please don't do it. The worst thing is when you start doing it, you lose interest towards the book, you lose interest towards the movie, because you just realize all you do is pausing and pausing to write words down. So only write those words down that either strongly affect your understanding of the book, or you've seen them so many times and you still don't know them and you're like, I need to know them. But please choose the book and the movie wisely, because if there are too many new words, if there are too many complications, you'd be like, I don't want to read anymore. And this is the last thing I want you to do with English. I want you to enjoy learning English. I want you to enjoy using it while watching movies and TV shows. Start with The Simpsons. Start with South Park, maybe not the best idea. Start with basic books on, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F-U-C-K by Mark Manson was one of my favorite books. It's very good in terms of like psychology, but it's also not too hard in terms of language, because whenever I try to read books on like the Sapiens, the human history, it's too difficult even for me. I didn't enjoy really reading that book because I was just overwhelmed with specific terms. Okay, now let's talk about the methods. Sorry about the backstory, but I think we need to talk about those things. They're super important. Method number 1, flashcards. I know so many people use them, and so we're actually going to combine 2 methods here. Flashcards, it's great. Like, and try to make them relatable to you again. So when you have a word, try to write down the sentence that would remind you of something in your life that would resonate with you. But also there is this method, and it's method number 2. It is called a memory palace. So instead of just having the flashcards wherever you have them, I have this pocket on my phone where I store cards. You could put the cards there, like if you have this pocket, you could get it anywhere, I guess. Or you can put them in your wallet. But the best thing is to create a memory palace in your bedroom or in your study. And some people say that you place the cards with the new words on objects associated with those words. Like for example, I have Golden Gate Bridge over there. And if I was learning new words, I would put cards like, I don't know, commuting, right? When you travel to work. So commute, I would put them there. And because our brain, it just likes different types of memory. It likes to combine visual stuff, space stuff, because we're in the space, we like to feel ourselves in the space, and our visual memory. So here you're combining 3 of those things, and it just helps you memorize words. So this is the first approach you can use. So you kind of put everything associated with travel on Golden Gate Bridge. And here we have, this is, you can't really see the top, but it's Silicon Valley 1986. So whatever you associate with innovation can be put there. But what I found a lot more useful and easier to implement is when you put flashcards on completely unrelated objects. Like, I don't know, commute. I would just put it on, my bed. And that's it. This weird thing that works for me, association with an object that's completely unrelated, that helps me memorize words. And it also, sometimes you just can't find an object in your apartment that associates with one particular word. So remember about this concept, memory space, and you can create this space anywhere in your apartment. Just make sure you revisit it. It can actually be in your phone even, but because we want to use this sense that we have as human beings being in the space, would really help you with those flashcards. And by the way, guys, in my workbook that I keep talking about in my videos, we have a list of words that you need to know in English to communicate with native speakers and to use it as an instrument. And we also have a piece of paper that you can print out and actually cut out those flashcards and use them. So the link to my workbook will be down below. Please use it to create those flashcards, and please use it as a list of words that you need to know in order to use English to achieve your goals. Another quick tip for you guys, you might be wondering, when I create a flashcard, do I write a translation of a word or do I write an explanation in English? Of course you do the second, and it's actually harder. But the thing is, a study was done on whether people memorized more words in the first case when they translated everything in their own language or when they created explanations in English. So basically, people in the first group people who translated, they were able to memorize more words, but they were able to memorize them short term. The people in the second group memorized less words, but they were able to use them long term in real context. Because the problem with translating the word, it doesn't really give you the context, because English doesn't equal your language 100%, and it might be hard for you later on to actually use those words. And this is something similar to like this memory when we prepare for an exam overnight. We study the whole night, the next day we take the exam, we pass it, everything is great, but then in a week people ask us for some information that was in that exam and we can't remember. This is kind of the same thing. When you translate words into your own language, you can learn them and you can remember them the next day, but would you be able to use them in a week? Would you be able to use them in a month? I don't know. And our goal with the language is to use it, right? So I would highly encourage you to not translate the words on the flashcards. I would encourage you to write a description. And of course, don't forget to practice your words. So if it's a memory palace, if it's a memory space, then you just walk through it, every single day and you learn the words naturally. If your memory palace is a note on your phone, then please make sure you revisit it once a day and twice a day and just look through those words. The next method is called the 90-second method. And an interesting thing about us, about our brain, is that we memorize things better if we encounter them 7 to 9 times. So people actually came up with a method where you repeat phrases 7 to 9 times in order to memorize them. This number of times helps our brain build connections, connect neurons. And if you know, there is like this long-term memory. Sometimes when we repeat something or we do something, the neurons form this long-term connection, but this happens randomly in our heads. I think you can totally relate to it. Sometimes we just remember random facts. We don't need to remember them. This is because at that time, this is what was explained to me. I'm not a neuroscientist or whatever. But what people say is that when something happened or you read something, connection was formed in your brain and you can't control it. But if you repeat a word 7 to 9 times, there is first higher chance you would remember it, and there is a higher chance that a long-term connection will be formed at that moment. So please use this neuroscientific hack to memorize phrases. So here's the method that you can use. So imagine you have this list of the words you need to learn. For the first 7 days, every day, you just read it out loud. Takes 10 seconds. You read it out loud 1 to 2 times for 7 days. After a 7-day break, you read this word out loud 3 times for 10 seconds. Add emotion. Read it out loudly, not to yourself. It's really important. 2 weeks later, you read it out loud again, 3 times in 10 seconds. So this way you have 70 seconds in the first week, 10 seconds your second repetition, 10 seconds your third repetition, you have 90 seconds. This is a 90-second rule to follow if you want to learn new words. And of course, please don't forget to create a calendar for yourself to tick the repetitions off so you keep track of whatever you're doing. The next method is to make up stories, something that I'm a pro at. I loved to make up stories when I was learning English at home in Russia. I would just take a list of words that I needed to know, and I actually had a diary where I wrote everything down what happened to me. And because I was learning 2 languages at a time, first I wrote my diary in English so that my parents don't understand. But then I realized my mom actually understands English. And I was like, she wasn't reading my diary. It's just I was so careful about it. I started doing that in German, and that was an amazing practice. So whenever you have like a list of words, try to come up with a story using those words. Try to insert them. Like diary would be the best, just because if you make it a regular habit, you don't have to come up with weird stories. You just write something about your day, and you make sure that you include all the words that you need to learn. Like every day it could be 10 new words, or 5 to 10 new words that you're practicing, and you just use them in your diary. You just use them in your stories, and this way you're also protecting yourself from whoever might read your diary because you're using English. And I don't know what's the situation in your family, but that really helped me practice when I didn't have anyone to practice. And remember, when I was learning English and German, there was no, there was internet connection, but it wasn't available in my place. It was available for maybe like 10 to 15 minutes a day, so I couldn't practice with other people. And the last but not the least, please use post-it notes. Whenever you forget a word, whenever you feel that all of the methods that I've mentioned don't work well, I put post-it notes on objects that I see every single day, like my mirror in my bathroom, something I would never forget, something I would stare at every single day. Post-it notes really, really help as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. I just wanted to remind you that spaced learning works the best. Don't try to learn 1,000 new words in a day, though I know I have a similar video. But when you actually watch that video, you realize I'm not talking about learning 1,000 random words a day. There is actually a structure there. But anyways, don't learn too many words at a time. I would say 3 to 5 words a day is the maximum. Do the spaced learning. Try to spend 5 to 10 minutes a day learning new words. By the way, if you wanted to read more about our memory, I would highly recommend 2 books, Unlimited Memory by Kevin Horsley and Use Your Memory by Tony Buzan. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. Don't forget to download the workbook. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not yet subscribed. I will see you very soon in my next videos. Bye bye.